As a person who's covering Final Fantasy news, you would think that I would have played every single game before doing such a task. However, I haven't played every single game in the series at all. And to get a better understanding about what I am covering, I need to make sure that I play as many Final Fantasy games as I possibly can, as it will be really crucial for new news and information to cover on this channel. I've already played Final Fantasy 15 in its entirety, and I'm currently working my way into playing Final Fantasy 14 live on stream, where you can catch it here on this channel. But something I've always said every single time is that I've played Final Fantasy 7, which is actually a lie. I haven't played this game. I know a lot about the game, but I haven't played this game. And if you know what I know, knowing a game and playing a game are two completely different things. And since I haven't played through the original Final Fantasy 7 from start to finish, this would be the best place to start my journey to playing a mainline Final Fantasy game. So in this video, I'm going to be experiencing Final Fantasy 7 for the very first time. While many of you are maybe excited to watch this video, I want to quickly just plug my channel and ask that you please hit the like button on this video. Liking the video helps me out a ton in the YouTube algorithm and lets me know that you guys want to see more content like this. I personally have spent hours making this video, and if you could please just take 10 seconds to just go like the video, I promise that I will try to get the next big project done as soon as possible. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm currently aiming for 500 subscribers, and at the time of this recording, I'm literally 5 away, so I don't know if we actually hit it yet, but any little bit does matter. Any little bit helps the channel a lot, and it would mean the world to me. So thank you for just taking the time to consider hitting the subscribe button, and make sure to ring the bell as well. And lastly, I want to say thank you for watching this video in the first place. It truly means a lot for me as an inspiring creator, and I really want to make more of these videos in the future. This one took very long to make, and I definitely want to get the next one done as soon as possible. But without further ado, without rambling, without continuously dragging this on, let's experience the world of Final Fantasy VII for the very first time. As we're watching Cloud and the gang enter the Mako reactor, I want to mention a few things about the version of Final Fantasy VII that I am playing within this video. Firstly, I'm playing Final Fantasy VII on the Nintendo Switch, which, if you didn't know, they do have a couple of cheats that wasn't in the original version of Final Fantasy VII. These cheats allow you to do 3 different things that I personally feel like 2 of them are crucial for anybody who wants to play Final Fantasy VII in 2023. The first of the 2 is allowing yourself to completely avoid all random encounters within Final Fantasy VII. This makes it so that if you're trying to get to a certain place, you won't be getting completely stopped every 2 feet you walk, which I personally feel like it was extremely important to have in this playthrough. The second out of the 2 is allowing your game to move in triple speed. Some viewers may already know that certain walkaways and animations are just absolutely way too long in this game. So honestly, having triple speed for the original Final Fantasy VII is honestly a must in my opinion. If it wasn't for these 2 cheats alone, I probably would still be playing the game as we speak right now, which is insane to me. Now, while the first 2 are kind of helpful for just navigating the realm and just getting through things super fast and quickly, the third cheat is probably one of the more questionable cheats within the game, and that's the ability to refill your HP, MP, and limit break gauge continuously. As someone who wanted to experience the game the way that it was intended, this cheat is absolutely busted, bonkers, and I fully don't recommend that people who are new to the original Final Fantasy VII use this cheat at all. It's literally broken. However, I want to be on record by saying that yes, I do use this cheat in this video, but I want to emphasize that there are very good reasons as to why I do use this cheat, and I will be explaining that when we get to the part of the video, so don't click off just yet. With that being said, when you get off the train and examine the 2 knocked out guards on the floor, you can collect 2 potions very early in the game. This is something that I completely missed in my original playthrough of Final Fantasy VII, and it made me realize that I'm going to be missing a lot of things within this game. and I had to make sure that I kept my eyes peeled for any hidden areas of the game and talk to a lot of different NPCs within the game as well. It's like pretty much the first and only warning that the game ever tells you this, so gotta be on top of it. On our way to the reactor, we meet Barrett, a lovable father and a character who I will love by the end of the game. Barrett hires us, Cloud, an ex-soldier, as well as a lost soul who's trying to regain who he is, and one of my favorite characters to be shown in this game. Barrett hires us to destroy the reactors. On the way to the bottom of the reactor, we get some items, we get some restore materia, and then there are select locations where we find out that we can save our game. This, my friends, is super important because back in the day, you had to save before you progress and you couldn't go and just save anywhere you wanted to. You had to go to specific points of the game and save the game there. This will somewhat backfire on me a couple of times, but trust me, and let me say this, only you can really prevent lost save data, so please make sure that if you're playing this game, save the game. Once Cloud and Barrett make it to the bottom, we encounter our first boss of the game, the Guardian Scorpion. The strategy for this boss is really simple. He's weak to lightning magic and limit breaks, so this boss only really has one thing to look out for, which is when he raises his tail to attack, it will counter with a very small laser attack, but other than that, the boss wasn't really too hard. Once completed, he gave us some EXP and an assault gun, which is a different weapon for Barrett that we will be using later. We set the explosives for 10 minutes and we quickly help Jessie free her leg and run for the exits because this place is gonna go up in flames. Upon the reactor blowing up, Barrett tells us to split up and rendezvous at the Sector 8 station so we can catch the train. We split up into the crowd of confused people, and a flower girl randomly bumps into Cloud and asks what is going on, and we tell her to just get out of here. What I didn't know at the time was that in Final Fantasy VII, there is an infinity system that is working in the background throughout the entire game that will increase or decrease the development of certain characters within the story. Had I taken the time to talk to this flower girl, I could have bought a flower from her and already increased the affinity of her so early in the game, which in my opinion is absolutely insane for a game that came out in 1997. My mind is still kind of shocked about this, even to today. Moving on, we move through the streets until a couple of soldiers start surrounding Cloud, but just before they could grab him, Cloud jumps off the bridge and right onto the train that we were supposed to catch in Sector 8. We make our way all the way to Sector 7, and Barrett goes into the bar of 7th Heaven and just starts shooting up the place and kicks everybody out of the bar. We meet Marlene, who is for some reason afraid of Cloud, and then we meet one of Cloud's old school friends, being Tifa, a strong fighter who I also grow to love by the end of this game. We meet in the basement to discuss payment from Barrett, which prompted a little bit of an argument between Cloud and Barrett. The argument got so heated that honestly, Cloud just kind of left. But before Cloud leaves, Tifa reminds him of a promise that the two of them made 5 years ago, where if Tifa was ever in trouble, Cloud would be a hero and rescue her whenever she needed him to. But before the two could fully talk about that whole past memory and everything, Barrett comes up and actually keeps his word and pays Cloud, then hires us to help him destroy another reactor. Yay. One tutorial later, and Tifa joins the squad. After exploring the town and picking up the free items, we make our way all the way to Sector 7 station, board the train, and make our way to Sector 5's reactor. Unlike before, where we could go in and out without resistance, this time the alarm goes off and we have to make our way through all the cars before the timer runs out. Fun fact, if you just take a second to talk to certain people before making your way to the next car, they will actually give you items that you can use on your journey, which I personally thought was actually a really cool touch that I wish was in the remake games, but it is what it is. We get to the last car and ultimately we are forced to jump off the train and land in the tunnel outside of Sector 4. We go through the duct, battle some enemies, get some items, and then make our way into Sector 5's reactor. After sliding all the way down, we finally get to the bottom where
Sephiroth. Soldiers. Mako. Shinra. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of all of this!
Hey, you guys all right? Make sure you're following along, right? Like, come on. We planted the bomb, but this time the timer doesn't actually activate, so the team has plenty of time to escape. We get outside, and as we are about to escape, a bunch of Shinra guards get in our way towards the exit, and behind us is, what do you guess? President Shinra coming out in the flesh. He explains to us that our plan will not be working a second time, and before the crew could even fight him, he sends out a brand new toy, the second boss called the Air Buster, to deal with us while he escapes. This boss fight is also really simple as well. The good thing is that during this boss fight, we as a party are surrounding the boss. So if you didn't know, in Final Fantasy VII, if you attack or get attacked from the back, you will either deal or take an increased amount of damage. So for this boss fight, all you really had to do was attack from the back and just use lightning magic whenever you could. We defeated the boss and it gave us a Titan bangle for the drop. Unfortunately for Cloud, he's hanging on the other side of the bridge, which ultimately makes him slip and fall towards his death. Or so we thought. Cloud wakes up in a field of flowers, somehow alive, and is fully able to move. We also notice that there's a nice young lady who is waiting for us to awaken. It's the flower girl from before. We talk to her and find out her name is Aerith, a lovable person who understands her destiny and will bring me much pain in the future. Fun fact, in the original version of Final Fantasy VII, they translated her English name to Eris, and they also do this in Final Fantasy Tactics as well. However, in the later Final Fantasy material, Aerith was to be used going forward as they wanted to make Aerith a near anagram to Earth, which I think is a really cool and nice Easter egg if you didn't know. So I changed her name from Eris to Aerith, and Reno walks into the church trying to take Aerith away from us. But very quickly, she hires Cloud as a bodyguard and we hightail it out of there. Upon going up the building to the roof of the church, Aerith falls down and we have to try to protect her by throwing barrels to the ground. Otherwise, we would gonna get into these battles, which were very annoying. But I didn't actually get how this worked until the very last barrel, which honestly, skipping the fight scene with Aerith at the bottom of there was actually kind of worth it at the end. But I was still kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't understand what they were trying to go for when they meant that I had to throw these barrels down to protect Aerith. It was super weird at the time, so I'm glad that I got it down at the end though. Cloud and Aerith jump across the rooftops and head to Aerith's house. And ultimately, we slept there for the night. Not together though, that's kind of weird. Cloud has a little bit of a dream and wakes up in the middle of the night. Cloud takes his stuff and tiptoes right out of the house, leaving Aerith behind without knowing. Only to get cut off near the entrance of Sector 6 by none other than Aerith herself. How did she know? How does she know? I don't know. There's just no way. We make our way to the park and Cloud and Aerith talk a little bit at the park until Cloud sees Tifa at the back of a carriage and Tifa looking kinda, you know, never mind. Let's not get into that. We find out that Tifa is being taken to Don Corneo's mansion and that we gotta go help her and save her. Cloud and Aerith rush to the mansion to get in, but unfortunately the doorman says that they will only accept women in this establishment. So Aerith comes up with an amazing idea, which is to turn Cloud into a woman for the day. Fun fact, there's a crazy amount of things that you can do that are completely optional in order to spice up the dress that you give Cloud within Final Fantasy VII. You can choose between a cotton, satin, or a silk dress, depending on what answer you give. You can get either a nasty, dyed, or blonde wig, depending on how well you do in the squatting contest. If you help spy on an inn and buy something from the vending machine, you can get either a glass, ruby, or diamond tiara for Cloud to wear. If you help out the lady in the bathroom, you can get cologne, flower cologne, or sexy cologne. And lastly, if you go to the Honeycomb Inn, depending on which room you go in, you can either get a bikini or lingerie. For an extra bit of touch as well, you can also get your makeup done by one of the ladies in the changing room. Naturally, when I found this out though, I just had to get the highest rarity tier I could possibly get for Cloud to make him look like the absolute sexiest person and most beautiful girl Don Corneo had ever seen in his life. So after some time, we got every single thing that we could get for Cloud to make him look like the prettiest girl possible. Aerith also gets a really nice looking dress, but compared to what Cloud is wearing, it's almost as if it's second rate. We make our way into the mansion where we are taken to the torture room, where we find Tifa and she explains why she's actually here. Turns out someone leaked our plans about what was going to happen within the Sector 5 reactor. And when Tifa heard that the Dawn had some part in it, she wanted to see what all the fuss was about. We make our way back up the stairs where Dawn gets to choose his wife to be. And of course, he chooses the illustrious, beautiful, best looking woman, Cloud, to be his brand new wife. They go to his room, talk a little bit, and then Tifa and Aerith break in before anything else could take place. All three of them threatened to get some information from the Dawn, and we start making our way out. Unfortunately, the Dawn is a very tricky person and reveals that he had a trap door down at the entrance and sends the crew into the sewers, where we meet our next boss called the Apps. This boss fight is extremely easy, as all he really does is just spam tsunamis, which is just this AoE attack that hits everybody in the party. But to be honest, it doesn't really do a lot of damage. All we really had to do was spam limits and attacks, and the boss only really took like 3 to 5 minutes tops. I don't even remember what actually happened. On defeat, he dropped us in Phoenix Down, and the team makes their way through the sewers and the Trave graveyard all the way to Sector 7. Once we arrive at Sector 7 slums, things are already popping off. On the top of the plate support, Barrett, Jesse, and Wedge are fighting off Shinra, where we see Wedge completely fall towards his death. Oh my God! Right in front of us is Wedge's body, which is absolutely insane. This game came out in 1997. Jeez Louise. Tifa, being worried about Marlene, tells Aerith to go to 7th Heaven Bar and protect her, while Cloud and Tifa climb all the way to the top of the plate. We see Jessie take her last breath. Rest in peace. You will indeed be missed. And then we meet up with Barrett to fight off the Turks. More specifically, our next boss, Reno. This boss again is also pretty easy. The only real thing that you need to look out for is that Reno has a very strong attack, but he can also put one of your party members into a pyramid that puts that person in a complete stasis, which means they can't really do anything. But if this does happen, you can just use a physical attack to break them out of that pyramid, and they're pretty much good to go for the rest of the time. This is probably a good time to actually talk about something that older games do, which is the fact that you need to make sure that you are targeting the correct person for whatever action you are going to be doing. As if you're not paying attention, well, this will have very huge consequences within the future of this game. You'll see what I'm talking about. After defeating Reno, the gang checks the panel to see that a bomb was activated, and there is no way for them to shut it down. While Cloud tries to figure it out, Sang comes up on a helicopter with Aerith to tell us that we will have a super hard time disarming that bomb. He also explains that his job was to capture the last agents, whatever the heck that means, and bring it back to Shinra HQ. Why he tells us this, I have no idea. Aerith says that Marlene is all right, and then all of a sudden she gets slapped. Huh? They leave, the bomb goes off, we jump on a wire and swing ourselves to safety. Unfortunately though, Sector 7 gets absolutely destroyed, and unlike in the remake, all the people who were there ultimately end up dying and paying the ultimate sacrifice. Rest in peace. The gang talks about what happened, and we rush to Aerith's house to find that Marlene is absolutely safe and sound, which is amazing for Barrett, I guess. During that time, we also talked to Aerith's mom, and we found out that that's not actually her mother. She told us a super sad story about how Aerith and her met, and how Aerith has the abilities to talk to the planets. All that being done and said, it is time for us and the gang to break Aerith out of Shinra HQ. It's time for a heist. To get to Shinra HQ, there is a wall that you have to climb near the wall market. During this climb, there's a cable that you have to jump in order to get to the other side. On my first ever time playing this game, I remember hating this part a lot, as as it was very hard for me to grab the cable. However, this time though, it was very easy for me to grab onto it. The team scales up the pipe to the next area, and we have now reached the Shinra building. Upon arriving to Shinra HQ, you, the player, have two different options that you can take to get to Aerith. Option one is to simply burst in and fight your way up to the top of the building. Option two is you can go in the sneaky and quiet route and take a ton of stairs to get to the very top. Upon looking into this, if you take the quiet route along your journey, you'll be rewarded with an elixir halfway through your journey up the stairs, which, if you didn't know, items like this are very rare to come by, or at least it will be for me while I am playing this game, as I didn't want to take a lot of time farming for certain things such as elixirs or other items. So I took the stairs and I used that triple speed cheat and put it right into the test and made it feel like a breeze. I got all the way to the floor 59, took out some guards, and began to explore the Shinra HQ building. For the sake of this video, I want to let you know that there was a lot of things that I collected from floors 60 to 67, and I'll probably show it a little bit right here. But once we found our way to floor 57, we see a specimen locked up in something that kind of looks familiar in a way. It almost looks like...
Mother, together we will reclaim our world.
Hey, you all right, man? You good? You still there? Jeez, I thought I lost you. Gotta be strong, okay? We finally get to Hojo's lab where Aerith is, and Hojo puts the specimen next to Aerith. Barrett tries to shoot the glass to break Aerith out, but then a white glow just starts emitting from Aerith's cell. The doors open, and the monster-like thing attacks Hojo. We get Aerith, and we tell Barrett to get Aerith the heck out of this building, which causes the party to split up into two different groups. Then the monster-like thing turns to Cloud and starts talking, and he tells us that his name is Red 13, a character that I felt resonated very closely to me later in the future. Before they could talk more, Hojo sends out his next boss for us to fight, which is called Sample H0512. Very complicated name, but you know, we take it. This boss loves to use AoE poison damage, and there is a way to not get poisoned by him at all if you got some equips from the other floors, which I did, but I didn't equip any of them and just fought the boss by using a lot of magic and healing myself when needed. No biggie. Once defeated, he dropped us a talisman. As the group goes to the elevator before we could even leave, Root and the Turk stop us and take the gang right to the person we were trying to avoid the entire time, President Shinra. The president explains that Aerith is something called a Citra, and that her people have the ability to go to what is called the Promised Land. And his end goal is to basically go to the Promised Land and take all the Mako and pretty much resell it to the people. Yeah, that's the plan he wants to do. Once he finished talking about his master plan, Cloud and the gang were thrown straight into jail. The team talks for a bit. Aerith explains that she can somewhat talk to the planet, but can't fully understand what it's saying, and then the team falls asleep. After waking up, Cloud sees that his cell is wide open. We wake everybody up and go back to Hojo's lab, where there is blood literally everywhere. It looks like a horror movie at this point. We follow the trail that leads all the way back to the president, who is now dead because he was impaled by a very long sword, which belongs to none other than the hero himself, Sephiroth. We find Palmer, talk to him, and he said he heard many voices, so he doesn't know what exactly happened here. But before we can interrogate him even more, a helicopter shows up, and it just so happens that President Shinra had a son called Rufus, who just so happens to show up at this exact timing. Like, he kind of knew what was about to happen before it happened. Although, ain't it kind of sus? It's kind of weird, right? We go outside, introduce ourselves to him, and then everybody except Cloud makes a break for the exit. Tifa stays on floor 69 to wait for Cloud, while Barrett, Red 13, and Aerith run to the elevator and fight the next two bosses called 100 Gunner and Hill Gunner. I don't know why I wrote this wrong in my script. I wrote it as HLI? I don't know, it's kind of weird. Both of them are weak to lightning, and you can only use long range attacks in this fight. So pretty much Red 13's basic attack was absolutely useless in this. This boss fight wasn't too hard, and once completed, it dropped us a mithril amulet. Once we completed those two bosses, we cut back to Cloud as he fights another boss, Rufus and the Dark Nation. This fight was honestly a lot easier than the last time I fought him. I kind of just spammed attacks at them till they lost, and they were nice enough to give me a protect vest and a guard source. We then leave, meet up with Tifa, steal a bike while everyone takes a truck, and then we drive out of there onto the highway to experience an awesome bike level where Cloud has to protect the truck from being destroyed. It's kind of like the one in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it's not as action-y, I guess. Once we got to the end, Cloud, Barret, and Tifa fight our newest boss called the Motor Ball. This boss likes to use a lot of fire-based attacks that can deal damage to the entire party. But I do the one thing that I know how to do. Spam attacks and limits, baby. Once that happens, the crew takes one last look at Midgar and just says goodbye once and for all. Midgar, we'll see you later. Once we leave Midgar, we head northeast to a town called Calm, where the gang checks into an inn where Cloud talks about Sephiroth and recounts the story of him going to Nibelheim with Sephiroth. During that time, Sephiroth learned about some information and completely turns into this bloodlusting villain. But during this time, we don't really know what Sephiroth's true endgame goal is right now. All we know is that Cloud wants to stop him. From there, the gang goes to Choco Bill and Choco Billy's Chocobo Farm and Ranch, which is a big tongue twister, and they teach us how to catch a chocobo so that we can get over the marshes, because there's some little like serpent snake thing there, which you obviously don't want to get caught by. It will literally give you a game over this early in the game. Before we leave though, if you talk to one of the chocobos, they give us a Choco Mog Materia, which is a chocobo summon, and the first of many that we will be getting on this adventure. We pass the march and make our way to the Mithril Mine, where the people over there talked about being attacked by Shinra, and I quickly help them by protecting the mountain, and we go on our very separate ways. Before we go into the next area, we do have to talk about something. I made a very big error, and the long story short, I didn't realize that you could actually get Yuffie as a party member this early in the game. Matter of fact, I don't ever go out of my way to get any of the other optional party members within this game. So for those of you who want to see Yuffie or Vincent in this game, I am so sorry. I would have actually personally loved to play as both of them or have both of them in the party, but because I wanted to really play through this game very fast and didn't want to do any of the optional stuff within the game, I don't actually go and get them, which is really unfortunate. But there are still some things that I obviously do that are optional. It's just these two party members will not be joining our party. So I really do apologize for that. Anyway, we make our way to Junon Harbor, where we had to fight a dolphin. And I promise you that no sea creatures were harmed in the making of this video. I promise. We also performed CPR on Priscilla, who really isn't that important towards the story, but she's super important because she gives us another summon materia, being Shiva. So this is what it's like being Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones, huh? From there, Priscilla tells us that if we want to get to the upper Junon, we gotta use the dolphin to jump all the way to the top of the tower. I start doing this, and oh boy, let me tell you, I was heated when I was trying to do this. Every time I think I'm going to get it, the camera completely just trolls me. But I did get there. We finally get up to the airport and go into the locker room where the commander stops us, tells us to change and do 2 different tasks for him. The first task is to march, which sounds really easy on paper, but was actually a lot harder than it seemed. I thought all you gotta do is match up with the soldiers that are walking, but it turns out, and this is where I really make a mistake here, that you apparently have to spam A to get the highest score, which is 5,000 gil. But unfortunately, we only got 6 potions, which is still all right. Although I gotta let you guys know right now that getting that 5,000 gil this early in the game would have been super helpful for for things that are about to come up. However, unlike marching, the next drill we had to do was kind of like a Simon Says game where you just hit the correct button input at the right timing. And oh boy, I made sure to ace it. And I made sure to get the highest reward possible, and that was the Force Stealer, which is a busted weapon for Cloud this early in the game. Once dismissed, we snuck aboard the Shinra cargo ship where we find Tifa, Barrett, Aerith, Red 13, and Sephiroth. Wait, Sephiroth, huh? Cloud tries to talk to him, but Sephiroth doesn't even know who Cloud is and honestly doesn't care about him whatsoever. So he flies off and leaves us with another boss called the Genova Burst, which again, a really easy boss where you just heal yourself when you need to and just attack it a lot. So nothing to really talk about here. He gives us a nice white cap and as well left us with another summon materia being Ifrit, who I really do feel like Thanos now. We get off the ship and arrive at Costa del Sol, where we see the Professor Hojo with some absolute Riz on the beach, pulling not one, but 3 honeys. I'm just saying, man, I don't know what he got, but he got it, bro. We talked to him, and after some insults towards the party, he tells us to head west for Mount Coral because something very important is going to be there, aka Sephiroth. Once we arrive at Mount Coral, Barrett is greeted very terribly by the people there, and we as a team find out that Mount Coral used to be Barrett's home and that he was responsible for destroying their town, which was really sad and unfortunate. He apologizes, but nobody wants to listen to him. So we make our way to the left, and before we make it to the next location, Barrett tells us the entire backstory of Mount Coral and how Barrett voted for Shinra to build a reactor there, which ultimately got destroyed, and the entire city was burned down, including his wife, which was absolutely tragic for me to hear and see. Before we finish our conversation, somebody rushes our crew to make their way to the Golden Saucer. And as soon as I saw this place, I could already tell people gamble here a lot. Aerith tries to cheer Barrett up with her jokes, but Barrett really wasn't having it at this point, where he ultimately got annoyed at Aerith and leaves the group entirely. We follow Barrett, but we ultimately meet a guy named Dio, who pretty much tells us that he's seen someone who looks exactly like Sephiroth, but didn't know where he went. We kept looking for Barrett, and then we found our next party member being Kate Sith, who I will come to forgive in the future, and he wants to tell us our future about Sephiroth, but he honestly couldn't. Finally, a good fortune teller, because most of them were scams. We wanted to leave him, but he just straight up tells us that he's going to follow us and help us even if we say no, which is absolutely crazy to me. Please do not do this in real life. If somebody tells you don't follow them, don't follow them. We make our way to this big castle where as soon as we enter, all the guards are dead. The team thought it was Sephiroth, but it turns out they all died to bullets. And we all know Sephiroth ain't ever used a gun before, which means these guys died by Barrett. Oh no, Barrett, what have you done? Dio comes in with the cops, and for some reason the gang just tries to run away. We get arrested and then thrown down into Coral Prison, which is kind of like this big wasteland, and like people are, I guess, dying here. I don't know. It's like a huge prison. We make our way into the house, find Barrett, and he explains that he didn't kill those people. Thank God. And that there's another man with a gun grafted onto his arm. He explains to us back in the day that when him and Dime went out into the mountains, Shinra came over and attacked them. And that's how Barrett exactly lost his arm. But he didn't just lose that. He also lost his best friend, which now is kind of weird because he's obviously back from the dead somehow. Interesting. We also find out that we got to find someone called the prison boss, quote unquote, who will allow us to go back to the very top and finish what we need to do. Now, on our way to the prison boss, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I made a completely wrong turn and got absolutely lost, but we get there at some point, which, whew, thank goodness we do get there. We then find out that the prison boss was none other than Barrett's old best friend, Dine, who had lived from that absolutely crazy fall. Like, I never understand how characters do this, but you know, it's Final Fantasy, we roll with it. Barrett tries to convince him that his daughter Marlene was still alive. Wait, what? I kinda had a feeling Marlene wasn't actually Barrett's father, but I did not actually see this coming. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Dine ultimately doesn't listen to Barrett, and Barrett has to do the one thing he doesn't really want to do, which was fight his best friend. This boss battle is a 1v1 battle, and it's pretty easy, but I still ended up dying to him and having to redo the entire battle once again. But on top of just doing the battle once again, apparently when I died to him, I didn't save for a very long time, so I had to redo a lot of things. And this is something that's absolutely so frustrating with old video games, is the way that save points were at. They were so few and far from each other. It was just like, this is a head scratcher for me. So after spending a lot of time returning here, Barrett beats Dine and he drops us a silver amulet and ultimately jumps off a ledge. Rest in peace, Dine. You didn't deserve to go out like that, bruh. Now that the prison boss is gone, we can try to leave the prison. But apparently there's only one way out, and that's to win a very serious, ultimate chocobo race. Yup, that's right, a chocobo race. And honestly, this race made me extremely mad because the controls just absolutely didn't make sense to me at all. Also, I found Ramah's summoning material in the waiting room, and after a couple tries, I finally finished the race. Thank God. Once completed, Dio gave the crew a buggy, which allows us to leave the Golden Saucer and head straight to Gungaga, which all of you really need to know is that we beat up some Turks and we got to the Titan materia, and we hear about another soldier called Zach, which is really interesting, but I'm sure he's just not important. Not yet anyways. This is a joke. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that this is a joke. I wrote this in the script. It's a joke. Please don't kill me in the comment section down below. From Gungaga, we make our way to the Cosmo Canyon. Upon arrival, Red 13 becomes very excited as we learn that this is his home. We make our way to the observatory at the top and talk to a man named, I'm gonna butcher this one, guys, Bugenhagen, I guess. I don't know. That's literally me saying it. And he shows us a crazy 3D holographic presentation that even by today's standards looks 10 times better than any AI art ever made. Yeah, I said it. Anywho, Bugenhagen talks about some crazy stuff right now. Really heavy hitting stuff. Like how every one of us, including you, the viewer, is going to die. And how our souls will return to the planet. And these souls are made up of what is called the life stream. Long story short, if there's no life stream, the planet dies. And these Mako reactors that Shinra has been using, they've been sucking up all the spirit energy, which means that the life stream is currently dying right now, which means that the planet is dying. It's almost as if the game is trying to tell us the dangers of what's going on in the real world. Like how we as humans are farming fossil fuel, literally sucking up all the energy from the earth. After that great explanation about the planet, we met up with everyone again at the campfire. I talked to everyone and each of them had something different to say. Era talks about how she is the last of her people and she feels very alone right now. Bear talks about how this place is the birthplace of Avalanche and how his mission is to save the planet. Tifa was being super cryptic for some odd reason. I don't know, she was talking about like memories or whatever, kind of weird. And Red 13 talked about his past and the story about his father and how he left his mother when she needed him the most. This story actually resonated with me a lot because I honestly had a very similar experience with my father. When we needed him the most, he just disappeared like the Avatar and honestly sucked. Bugenhagen sees everyone around the campfire and tells Red that he has something to show him. We head up to the mountain to the gates where Cloud, Tifa, and Red had to climb all the way and go through an entire maze. After catching up with Bugenhagen, he says that there's a ghost that is in the tribe and he wants us to help him take it down. So you know what that means. It's boss battle time. This one took a bit as I was only really spamming magics and limits and summons. But man, this dude had a lot of health. I had to heal a lot during this fight because this dude obviously did a lot of damage, but apparently after looking it up, and I'm really embarrassed about this, there is a very easy way to kill this boss. If you use an elixir on this boss, it will completely die in one turn. And if I remember correctly, we pick up an elixir way back when in the staircase. We could have literally passed this boss very very fast. I think this is actually very clever of Square Enix, and honestly, I wish if I play this game again to do that so I can absolutely obliterate this boss in just one turn. Once defeated, he drops us a wiser staff, and we found the real truth towards Red's father. Turns out that he was a warrior who fought to protect the entire village, and this was also an amazing moment for me because while my father may not have defended and sacrificed his life to save a village, I've learned that my father had some really good intentions for not just himself, but for my entire family. And Dad, if somehow you are watching this video, I just want to say, I love you, all right? After that, we reform the original party and go to our very next stop. We keep adventuring until we find ourselves at Nibelheim. Wait, Nibelheim? What? But this place was burned down. What the heck is going on? Why is everyone's house still here? How is this place not burned down in ash? What? Like, something isn't right here. Something's not right at all. Something weird's happening. We go around Nibelheim into most of the houses and see strange people in black cloaks with strange numbers tattooed on them, all talking about going to the Hey, stay with me now. Stay with me. What's happening? Why is it not making any sense? What? Like, it's so weird. Surely the mansion. We gotta go to the mansion. It holds all the answers there. We make our way into the mansion where Sephiroth is there waiting and asks us if we will also participate in the reunion, which I honestly don't know what the reunion is. So like, how can I participate in that? Afterwards, Sephiroth tells us to go to Mount Nibel if we wish to know what he means. And then he throws materia at us, we get knocked down, and then he flies off. So we make our way there, and man, there is a lot of strong monsters blocking our path, to the point where I was getting super annoyed by the fact that my team kept dying a lot. But this won't be fixed until later into this video, sadly. We get to the end of the mountain where we meet the materia keeper, and this dude was honestly a pain. He did so much damage, and I just did the usual spam summon, keep HP up, spam attacks the whole freaking time. But we were barely able to beat him in the end, which should have been eye-opening, but it wasn't. Once we defeated him, we exited the mountain, didn't see Sephiroth, and made our way to Rocket Town. And if I'm being super honest about this, not a lot really happens in this town. So we're gonna give you guys the really short TLDR. We meet up with Sid. He tells us his experience about the rocket launch and how it failed due to him trying to save the life of his assistant. Rufus comes and says he's also looking for Sephiroth and lets us know that we are all looking in the wrong direction. Palmer comes and tries to steal Sid's plane called the Tiny Bronco. We fight Palmer. He's honestly a really easy fight. And then we take the Bronco because it was about to fly off and crash land it in the middle of the ocean. Sid was there too. I forgot to mention that. He asks us to join the squad. We say yes. And Sid is going to be the last party member that we get from this point on. That's it. There's no more party members. I said no Vincent, no Yuffie. So it's really unfortunate, but it is what it is. Sid points us to the Temple of the Ancients, and we go straight there. After being completely lost for such a long time, we find out that the Temple of Ancients is a pyramid way down south, and that we need a keystone in order to get into the temple. So I search for some dude in Gongaga, and he tells me that he sold the keystone to none other than Dio. Dio says we can have it if we are able to make it 8 rounds in the battle arena, which we didn't have to, but I want to try and make it so that we can get the Protect Vest and the Chocobo Feather, but I could only make it to about 5 rounds before I honestly gave up. However, we did get the vest and the keystone from Dio, which to me, kind of a win-win. So we make our way to leave, but the tram is absolutely out of order. So everyone goes to the hotel to rest up for the night. Before going to bed, Aerith goes into Cloud's room and asks him to go on a date, since she still owes him one from when we rescued her from Reno. So both of them go to a play, which I honestly thought was really funny. And then once the play was finished and concluded, we go on a gondola ride, which had a lot of beautiful fireworks. And honestly, I thought it was really beautiful to see the two of them going out like this. Then Aerith says something extremely weird that you wouldn't understand until you play Crisis Core. We get off the ride and start heading home until we bump into Kate Sith, who has stolen the keystone. The keystone that we need? Oh no! So we chase after him all over the golden saucer until he throws it to over to Sengen. Cloud and Aerith were absolutely pissed, and we learned that Kate Sith is actually a Shinra spy who was sent to watch us, and man, I want to kill him. But apparently the body that we see right in front of us is actually not his real body, and he could just send over a brand new one in a moment's notice. So there would be no point in actually destroying him. And he threatened us that he would also kill Marlene, which made me absolutely hate Kate Sith, and we weren't allowed to kick him off the squad. So after a nice rest, we make our way to the Temple of the Ancients. As soon as we arrive, Aerith is already talking to the temple, but doesn't fully understand what's going on. We go inside and we see Sengen stabbed on the ground. He explains to us that he has been tricked. See, the Turks have been going on about how Sephiroth has been looking for the Promised Land, but Sengen tells us that it's not what he's doing at all, and that Shinra was doomed from the start. Doesn't really explain why, but this is literally what he says to us. He gives us the keystone and tells us to place it in the altar, which once we do, we go up and we enter this crazy maze area that I honestly hope is in Rebirth, because man, being able to see this place in 4K would absolutely look awesome. After spending our time going around collecting items and whatnot, we catch up to this, I guess, spirit looking thing where we were forced to play hide and seek with it. And once we caught him, we proceeded to the next area. And boy, this next place gives us an insane amount of lore. Pretty much Sephiroth's goal is to become one with the planet. By hurting the planet, Sephiroth will be able to merge his energy to the planet and make himself a brand new existence. And in order to hurt the planet, he will use the ultimate destructive magic called Meteor. Once he's found the truth, we are to face another boss called the Red Dragon. Now, because I'm super underleveled and weak, this fight was pretty hard. But after doing what I usually do, which is spam abilities, attack, summons, and keep myself alive by healing myself constantly, we won. But just barely. And I honestly wasn't happy about that one. Not at all. We head to the right and we find ourselves Black Materia, which is said that if anyone solves the puzzle of the temple, they will be destroyed by the temple, which means that no one will be able to get the materia that is there, except we already know that Sephiroth has a lot of flunkies who would be willing to be crushed by the temple in order for him to get that materia. So after much debate, we get Kate Sith to do it. While Kate Sith does that, we make a beeline to the exit where we meet yet another boss called the Demon Gate. And this is where the game literally kicked my ass. I tried doing the good old spam abilities technique and the game just absolutely slapped me and said, homie, that ain't gonna work this time. I died so many times that I got to the point where I had to cheat. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I turned on that infinite HP, MP, and limit gauge and spammed the heck out of it so that we can get past this boss. Did it make me feel good? No, it didn't. In fact, it made me really mad that I did that, and I honestly wish I had done some grinding in order to kill that boss. So if you ever want me to redo this boss, comment down below and say that I should, and if we get like maybe 100 likes, I'll replay the game once more, maybe with mods even. So please consider liking the video. Once the team escapes the temple, Kate does the whole talk about thanking him and trusting him. He goes, gets the black materia, and the temple gets destroyed. And we pick up the black materia, which we cannot use because Era says that we need a great amount of spiritual power in order to use it. And the only area that would have that kind of energy would indeed be the Promised Land. But Sephiroth isn't an ancient, which means he can't get there. Or so we thought. Sephiroth comes out of nowhere and says that he has the knowledge and wisdom of the ancients and has everything he needs to create the future. gave the black materia to Sephiroth. I don't know what came over me. After some comforting words from Aerith, we wake up and we see Aerith in our dreams. She tells us that we are in the sleeping forest and that this forest will lead us to the city of the ancients. We try to chase her, but can't. And we see Sephiroth, and then we wake up and find out that Aerith is gone. Due to the dream, we know that Aerith is headed to the city of the ancients. So we gather the crew and we make our way to Bone Village. Long story short, we dig up a harp, get a ton of items and materia, and we see Aerith kneeling, praying right in front of us. I lose control again and almost kill Aerith with a Buster Sword until, well, it's too sad for me to say, so just roll the clip. Aerith died, and it was all that psychopath's fault, and we couldn't do anything to stop it. And to make matters worse, there's another boss fight. I do end up dying the first time, but not the second time. I would explain it, but my grief is just too much right now. Aerith died because we were a puppet. We take her body and put her right into the ocean, and we say, goodbye, Aerith, once and for all. I love you. Now that we're partly done grieving over Aerith, there's something I need to fix. My level and stats. So I looked up where to grind on Disc 1 for Final Fantasy VII and found this mountain-ish area right over here. Long story short, after grinding for about 3 hours on triple speed, infinite HP, MP, and limit breaks, I went from level 30 all the way to level 60. And I even mastered a ton of my materia as well, which is perfect because I needed this. Like, I really needed this badly. From there, we make our way all the way to the snowfields, which we then had to snowboard our way all the way down a mountain because Shinra put this area under martial law for some reason that I don't remember. From there, we climb the mountain, enter a cave, climb again, enter another cave, and we keep doing this until we reach to the very top of the mountain, aka the crater. We catch up to Sephiroth, who then disappeared and turned into what is our next boss called Genova Death. Because my materia and stats were super high for this boss, it really wasn't any trouble for me to beat him at all. So we defeated the boss with ease, and once defeated, he gave us a nice little reflect ring, and we got the black materia back in our hands. With everything back to where it was, all we needed to do was defeat Sephiroth and end this once and for all. Just for safekeepings though, we give the black materia to none other than our trusted boy Red 13 we hold on to so that we could destroy him, make our way to him. And all of a sudden, a bright light flashes us like this is some sort of Valorant game all over again, where we're back. It's Nibelheim. It's a story we told earlier, but why the heck is Kingdom Ace, I mean, Zack here? Why is he in every single scene? Well, Sephiroth explains everything to us. Everything that happened 5 years ago. Cloud is a failed experiment constructed by Professor Hojo, an incomplete Sephiroth clone who wasn't given a number. Cloud was never there at Nibelheim. And all he had to do was show us a picture of Zack, Tifa, and Sephiroth standing right next to each other. Meanwhile, Sephiroth tricked Red 13 by pretending to be Tifa and telling him that Cloud is in danger and that the team needs his help. So he rushes over to Cloud with the black materia. Suddenly, Cloud, Tifa, Barret all teleport back into the crater where Rufus, Hojo and Scarlet are also there. Afterwards, Red gives Cloud back the black materia, and then Cloud just starts losing it. And I mean, he's losing it. I mean, he's losing so much that the dude is literally upside down in the cave. And the thing that just happens next is shocking. So shocking that I actually can't even say it. So please roll the tape once again. After 7 long days, we wake up as Tifa. There is now a giant meteor coming down towards the planet, ready to destroy everyone here. Sephiroth's prophecy has already begun, and we have to stop him. But before we can even try, the gang is sentenced immediately to death because Shinra wants to blame someone so that the people can be mad at someone or at anyone other than them right now, which I think is extremely stupid in my opinion. Like, the end of the world is happening and you want to blame someone on who sent a literal meteor to kill everyone on the planet. Yeah, good job, Shinra. You really did something great for us. Anywho, you already know we're the main characters, so we escaped, stole an aircraft called the Highwind, and dipped from Junon. We then head to this new place called Medial, I don't know how to pronounce this one, I'm sorry guys. And we find Cloud in a very broken state, unable to literally do anything. Tifa stays with him for a while and the rest of the gang leaves to find the huge materia. And we know this because Kate Sith, aka the spy, overheard a plan where Shinra will use the huge materia to destroy the meteor in the air. But what he doesn't know is that it will actually cause the huge materia to chain react with the meteor that will do something really bad in the future that I just won't spoil just yet. So to save me and you some time, we're doing what I like to call a very fast lightning round of things we did near the end of the game. So let's get to it. We go to Coral, stop the train, get the first materia. Then we head to the Fort Condor, stop Shinra's attack, and get another materia. Then we return to Medi, check out Cloud, see how he's doing. And when the boys get attacked by the ultimate weapon, we fight it. And this fight was honestly really easy. We spend pretty much little to no time doing this fight. And then we spend a lot of time, and I mean a lot of time, with Tifa, rebuilding Cloud's mind and his memories. So much so that we gotta stop the lightning round right here, kids. Pretty much, long story short, we see the full encounter of what really happened 5 years ago in Nibelheim. During the trip, Cloud was indeed there. He was just hiding his face because he didn't want people to see that he never made it to the soldier project. Cloud always wanted to be a soldier for Tifa, but in reality, in this very moment right now, Tifa is the one protecting Cloud from becoming what he doesn't want to become, the monster, Sephiroth. When I saw this happen, I truly saw the dynamic that Square was trying to go for between these two characters all these years ago. Making that bond for Cloud and Tifa just something special made me tear up inside. Cloud is always meant to be Tifa's guardian angel, and he will always protect her whenever she needs protecting. She feels lost, and honestly, this relationship is just something beautiful from the very start to the very finish. So once Tifa and Cloud go through memory lane and recall exactly what both of them need to do, and Cloud Cloud finally learns and accepts the truth. Cloud is finally reborn and back to his original self once again, which means there's only a few more things that we need to do in order to finish this game. So it's back to the lightning round, baby! There's still a couple of missing huge materia which we need to go underwater for. We do a mini game with the submarine that was also extremely easy. Find the missing materia underwater and leave. Then we make our way back to the rocket town. Get to the rocket that gets shot all the way up to destroy the meteor, grab the last huge materia and escape within the escape pod, where the meteor gets hit by the rocket, but it turns out it gets a lot bigger and way closer to the planet now, which means there's absolutely not a lot of time and Shinra is 100% at fault. Thank you, Shinra, so much. We go to the Cosmo Canyon and talk to Biggenhagen, who reminds us about Aerith, and we take him with us on our adventures. We go to the Forgotten City and pretty much says that we must search for Holy, which is an ultimate white magic that can stand against Meteor, and our last hope of saving the planet, which we need right now because the meteor is getting super close now. We go underwater, get the key of the ancients, which when we return back to the city of ancients, we find out that we can see a brand new vision of Aerith dropping what looks to be Holy, and it is already prepared to be used as of right now. The only thing that is stopping us is Sephiroth. On our way out, we had to fight the diamond weapon, which is headed to Midgar. Honestly, this is a really easy fight since, you know, I grinded a little bit too much. And at the end of the day, it ends up killing Rufus, which, damn, I thought he'd never die. We return to Midgar, fight some Turks, fight Pronclond, and both of them were really easy. And then we fight Hojo, and he explains to himself that he is Sephiroth's father. Huh. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming, actually, not gonna lie. We fed him off. He was also, again, pretty easy. And we are finally at the end of the game. We make our way to the Northern Caverns and descend into the planet and begin the final battle against me and Sephiroth. After fighting so many easy bosses, I thought this was going to be an absolute kick in the park, but I did end up dying a couple of times. But the run that you're seeing right now is the final run. That's the one that we're going to be really talking about the most right now. Before we get into the final bits of the video, I gotta say, playing this game and doing this kind of video has been an absolute blast for me, in my opinion. If for some reason you've gotten all the way to this point of the video and still haven't considered hitting the like button or subscribing, then please hear me out for just 1 second. I still haven't experienced a lot of things within Final Fantasy VII, and I really want to kind of have the experience of doing that for the first time. So this is what's going to be happening within the next couple of days. First things first, number one, I haven't experienced having children to the fullest. I remember watching this movie as a kid when I was super young, but I don't remember about 95% of this entire movie. And I really want to experience it again to see what Final Fantasy VII fans hype over about this movie. So expect to see a video about that sometime on my channel very soon. The second thing is I still haven't experienced Yuffie's intermission in Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which honestly, I probably should have by now, but I definitely haven't, and I've been saving it so that we can experience it together for the first time on film. So if you guys are still also interested in that, make sure you comment about that down below. Lastly, if anybody wants me to redo or revisit anything within this video that has happened, I'll redo this entire playthrough with PC mods if we get this video to about 150 likes. It's a tall ask, but I think we can do it as well. And lastly, I want to ask you, the fans of Final Fantasy, what other Final Fantasy games should I play next? Should I do Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy XI? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, we are finally here on the last phase of Sephiroth. He uses a very long attack, which is really cool because it's him destroying our solar system's planets. All of them. Earth, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter. It is so cool, but ultimately very, very long. As he does this, I summon Alexander, and the game crashes. The game crashes at the last final moments of the boss. I only have one thing to ask. How does a digital game crash? Anyone who comes at me in the comment section, I want to let you know this was probably the only way for me to end this. I have now completed Final Fantasy VII. Or so the past me thought. While revisiting the footage and editing this video, I realized that ending it like that wouldn't be correct. So let's fully finish out what happens. For the best way I can kind of describe the scene, Cloud's mind kind of goes into another inner thoughts of him fighting Sephiroth for one last time. But this time, it's really easy, for we have the ultimate move called Omni Slash, and this move looks absolutely amazing, and I love it. We get saved by a combination of people, being Tifa and somewhat looks to be Aerith, I'm not 100% sure, and we just escape on the highway. But even though we defeated Sephiroth, Midgar still seems to get destroyed. Matter of fact, the entire planet seems to have collided with the meteor, or so I think. It's kind of confusing because I don't really know exactly what this is, but hopefully Advent Children will spread a little bit of light on it, and maybe even if I read some of the Ultimania from Final Fantasy VII's Ultimania, I will definitely probably get a lot more answers. Now we are officially finished Final Fantasy VII. And to anyone who got to this point, I just want to say a big, massive thank you for watching. If it wasn't for people like Kingdom Ace, my brother, John, Pain Domination, Blaze, a bunch of other YouTubers who have consistently just, had my back and supported me from the very beginning, if it wasn't for the fan base, if it wasn't for people who are subscribed to the channel, this video would literally never get done. So to everybody who's watching this, to other people who've supported me in the past, and to people who are going to continue supporting me even up till now, I want to say a big, massive thank you for getting to the end of this video. And I hope to see you guys in the next project. And I hope the next project is next month, hopefully. But without further ado, thank you so much for watching. And this was my experience playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time in 2023. Thank you so much.
Careful now. That which lies ahead does not yet exist. Our world will become a part of it one day, but I will not end. Nor will I have you end.
This is...
the edge of creation. Cloud, lend me your strength. Let us defy destiny together.
never.
Not yet. "7 seconds till the end. Time enough for you, perhaps. But what will you do with it? Let's see."